My name is Michael Shikatano, and this is Right Here, Right Now, a podcast to inspire the learner inside each of us. In a world that is full of so much information, we will help find and package that information so that you can use it in your lives every day in practical ways. And in each episode, we will remind you of the importance of being present and mindful of your daily thoughts, actions, and interactions. It is truly the most vital step to learning and growth, being mindful and present right here, right now, to take on life's challenges and turn them into life's lessons. So come on this venture with us, a new beginning, a new journey that starts right here, right now. Welcome back, people. I am Michael Shikatano, and this is Right Here, Right Now, the podcast that helps our community of followers to be more present and more mindful. We know being more mindful and more present helps us learn and grow, and really is the only way to experience life to its fullest. I hope you enjoyed some of our more recent episodes, especially the mindfulness intention. Got a lot of great feedback from that one. And today we're going to talk a little bit about help, what we can do to help ourselves, help others. And I have two questions today related to that, two questions that we will reflect on together as we strive to be better people. But before I ask you these two questions, I want to share a few quotes to ease our way into this topic. The first quote comes from Mother Teresa, and she told us that the greatest good is what we do for one another. And the next quote is from Oprah and is related to the first quote, and it's an excellent introduction, these quotes, I think. That's right, people, getting our minds into the right mindset here for this episode of Right Here, Right Now. Oprah tells us that helping others is the way we help ourselves. Now, if you've been paying attention, you realize that these philosophies on help resonate with me immensely. Really, especially over the last 2 years as a father of two adolescent boys navigating the world in the midst of a pandemic, as well as in my position as a healthcare worker, working with so many incredibly heroic individuals that work so well as a team. I realized that my purpose, my passion, my reason for being in all aspects of my life, sometimes more than other times, of course, the things that makes me whole is helping others and inspiring others to help other people. That's right. Really, it's my purpose. So to help others as much as I can and as much as one needs, maybe a bit more on both accounts. And hopefully a candle burns with the help, and this lights a torch that is passed on and on, right? You help somebody, they help somebody, and on and on and on it goes. That reminds me of the episode we did a while back on generosity, right? It lives on forever. I think a helpful act also does the same thing. So I was intrigued when I read a passage in a spiritually guided daily read book. I love these books. You pick them up every day. There's something in there and just helps you to reflect, ponder, start your day. The book is 365 Days of Kindness. It's by BroadStreet Publishing. These once daily reads, I try to surround myself with them. I have a whole bunch of them. And picking up these little gems, the insights that make me stop and think. I like these so much. I really enjoy them. And so many times the timing is incredible. They always seem to be perfectly timed, but it's probably because I'm just paying closer attention here, people, right? You just notice the subtleties here. Your emotions, you're really just connecting with them a little bit more, and boom, you read something and it just moves you a bit more. So on April 27th, that's what I did. That was the passage for that day. I stopped and thought about the incredible passage, and it was titled Culture of Help. And I'll read the following. I amended it a bit here. It starts out, encourage one another and build one another up, just as you are doing. And that's from Thessalonians. There are dependent people and there are independent people. In our culture, we think that independence is the better way to be. This whole mindset leaves us thinking that we should first try to do things by ourselves before asking for help. Unfortunately, this might mean missing out on spending time with someone. It might also mean that you struggle alone and get more bitter and resentful than you need to. It might be good for you to remind yourself that dependency can be positive. And I just really like this, right? We've all heard and felt this, right? Growing up and taking on more responsibilities. What have you heard? What's been the constant mantra that turned into the incessant voices in all of our heads, right? Being independent is seen as strength, and being dependent on others, well, is not strength at all. Relying on others, leaning on another in your time of need, either too much or maybe even at all, it's seen as a weakness. Why? We do this to ourselves after a while, right? We convince ourselves that the better way is to get things done on our own. And I don't understand why. We're going to talk a little bit about this and maybe get all of ourselves in a different mindset here. And it's a misperception of reality, right? This focus on the strength of independence. Don't get me wrong. I believe in self-sufficiency and doing for yourself and working for yourself, but not to the point of being afraid to ask for help, worrying what others might think of you. Heaven forbid should you need help and break down and ask for it. And continue to pay attention here, people. You'll see where we're going with this and how not asking for help, not graciously accepting the help offered to us, can be a treacherous way to live. And I found another quote as I was kind of pondering putting this together and sharing with you so that we can learn and grow together. I found another quote that really should help us as we navigate becoming more comfortable with being less independent. And how can we be reminded that dependency can be positive? Well, this quote is from Gandhi, and he tells us that if it is man's privilege to be independent, it is equally his duty to be interdependent. Wow, right? It's equally our duty to be interdependent, dependent on each other. So that means we must be able to give and receive help. So let's dive a little deeper and ask, is this the mentality of being seen as weak when asking for help? Is this, when we do this, are we missing something so profound, so life-changing for us, for others, that we must stop right here, right now, to pay attention to this lesson and to ask ourselves the two questions that I teased at the beginning of this episode. And they are, what is it that we are depriving ourselves by not asking for help? And what is it that we are depriving others by not asking for help? Thinking that we do not need the help, or that others are too busy to help us, or that we are not worthy of help from others, or wondering what others might think of us if we ask for help. Stop and think, why? What are some of the reasons why you have not asked for help recently? Maybe why you do not make it a habit to look for help, to seek help when you need it. Not all the time, not every day running around looking for people to help you, but when you need it. Did you ever say to yourself that, oh, I can't ask so-and-so for help, right? They're struggling themselves. They're too busy themselves. How could I be so selfish to ask for help? Did you ever stop and ask yourself, maybe helping me and the feelings and emotions that are evoked by being helpful might get that person out of the rut that they are in? Did you ever think of that? What I'm trying to point out here is that we should remember how good it feels to help others and let others help us. They'll feel good for helping you out. Let's also remember how when you deprive somebody of the gift of their help, of their helpful, kind gesture to you, you can really upset that person. Let's try to think about an example with this, right? Let's say you get a flat tire on a remote highway about an hour away from home. It's the middle of the night. You call for roadside assistance, and it's going to take a few hours before anyone shows up. You look at your phone and you think, what? I don't want to bother anyone. I can't bother anyone. Who's going to come and get me in the middle of the night? I'll just wait it out. Maybe I don't really want to burden anyone with this in the middle of the night. What I think you need to do, you have to flip the script here, people. Be mindful and be present of this moment and think to yourself, when you're a little bit afraid to ask for that help, how you might get pretty upset if someone did not call to ask you for help in a situation like that, right? You found this out maybe hours later, and what's your first response? My goodness, why didn't you call me? I would have loved to help you. Right? What if you were the one that could offer the help? That you could have been there to help that person in their time of need. And if they didn't reach out to you, I think you'd be pretty upset. And that is what you have to think about. I think you'd be excited, eager, passionate to help, right? When you're given that opportunity, you jump at it, especially if it's someone that you care for deeply, right? Let's not deprive others of that. We really need to be mindful and aware that if the roles were reversed, you would run to help that person and be upset if they didn't reach out for your help. You have to just get that mindset and think in terms of what would the other person think when they found out that you needed help but didn't ask them. And, I stumbled and struggled with this one. I tend to be, again, one of those people that just grew up and being an independent person, thinking that I should not need any help. I can go it alone, possibly deeply rooted in some sort of middle child syndrome, right? Some of us more independent middle children there that we've been running from for a while now. Whatever your struggle might be, to relent and ask for help, stop. Let's really try to consider these questions and how they may help us help ourselves greatly. That it will not change the way you think about this. It will change your life. It'll change the life of others, those that care for you enough to offer help when they can. And think about it. It's this positive paradox here that we see the light, how asking for help, being the recipient of help, does not make you weak or less than, but offers you the opportunity to help others in your time of need. I hope that makes sense, right? You're giving the gift of help to others, not by helping them, but allowing them to help you. And you're thinking, what is this guy talking about? Here it is. Asking others for help gives them an opportunity to be helpful, and graciously accepting an offer of their help, it helps to fulfill a basic human need for someone that cares for you. Receiving the help allows for a connection in the moment and quite likely beyond that moment with another human being, right? Ask yourself, doesn't it feel really good when you help someone in need? Let's be okay, all of us, with needing and asking for help, being okay on the receiving end of help. Think about it. If we're all here in this world and we all want to be helpers, which is a wonderful thing, But if there's so much hesitation or worse, resistance to receiving the help, isn't there going to be an imbalance, right? I mean, we'd love to have a bunch more helpers out there. I think a lot of people over the last few years realized how meaningful that connection to help others and how important that is. But we got to be able to be better receivers of help. And I think that'll help balance things out a little bit. And if you feel less than or weak or vulnerable, knowing that taking the help will lift you up almost as much as your helper is lifted by helping you. Let's not deprive someone that likely cares a lot for you, of this moment to feel really good with their offer of help that is taken with a warm smile. You know, that smile, that relieved, gracious, soft, vulnerable smile that says, "Thank you for seeing me today, noticing my need, my cry for help that I was too afraid to ask for." Let's just not be afraid to ask for that. And maybe being mindful and present when you see this smile jolts you into thinking a bit differently next time you need help. Noticing how nice this feels and seeing how much someone else was affected with their chance to shine and help someone out. Let's stop being afraid here, people. Embrace the need for help as an opportunity to receive the gift of help from someone that cares for you. So I suspect that Oprah and Mother Teresa were onto something here, right? Obviously. Well, let's see how we could take this wisdom a bit further. If the greatest good is what we do for others, and helping others is the way we help ourselves, as they say, let's be okay with knowing that it is also great for others to be given that opportunity to help, and that help does have a two-pronged effect. Just remember how good it feels to be the helper, and know you are spreading this to others, propagating this culture of help. And just to talk a little bit about that, my purpose again, quickly, I think I've recently realized that I had been putting too much pressure on myself when I see someone in need, that I must fix everything all the time. I've recently become a bit more deliberate about not putting too much pressure on myself to be the helper that fixes everything all the time. It does continue to be difficult for me, and it's a new mindset, and I have to think and be a little bit deliberate about it. And I think that being a better receiver of help, being more okay receiving help from others, has probably been the best way to be less hard on myself, to be putting less pressure on myself to always be the helper. And I think it might be due to the joy that I spread by allowing others to be helpers too. And I know it sounds weird, but it works. Try it. Be a little bit more okay asking for and receiving the help. And I think it does. It really helps to strike a balance in life. So I hope this episode was helpful. I would like to inform our wonderful community of listeners that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And in the spirit of seeking help, I implore you to ask for help if you need it. What I'm talking about here is when it comes to mental health and seeking professional help from a mental health professional. I think the primary purpose of the awareness campaign, in my opinion here, is to break the stigma, right? All of the stigmas, the stigma associated with mental health disorders, that the hashtag has been break the stigma. I've seen on social media for Mental Health Awareness Month. You know, the stigma that we must all power through our mental struggles, or the stigma from the false belief that mental health challenges like anxiety or depression that so many people are battling with right now, that those disorders and those challenges are not similar to heart disease or an orthopedic condition or other physical ailments that we seek treatment for so much more readily. And the false hope, the stigma here that we can just lift ourselves out of the rut that we are in, or worse, that we tell ourselves that there is nothing wrong. And I'm going to tell you, there's nothing wrong with asking for help, seeking help. And if you think somebody needs help, reach out. Let them know that you're there for them. Get them resources, get them help. It's so important that we lean on each other, be helpers, and be great receivers of help and open to the help that those that care for us want to give, need to give even. So I want to just throw out one more quote. It's a really nice one. I shared this with my boys and my wife one morning. Again, I like to do this just to start everybody's day out on the right note. It says, never get tired of doing little things for others. Sometimes those little things occupy the biggest part of their hearts. Don't forget this, people. Even if that little thing inspires you to ask someone else for help, occupying the biggest part of both hearts in this connection with another human being, made simply by asking for help and watching that help come to fruition. Thank you all for joining us. Please rate and review this episode and check out our website where we have some resources for Mental Health Awareness Month. Until next time, people, be mindful and be present and be open to the help around you. Look for the help around you right here, right now. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time, right here, right now.